So my brother is dying, and I want to start this off for anybody who's going through this that may have found out they had cancer, or they have a family member or friend that's having cancer. And I just wanted to share my story. Technically, this isn't my day one, my first day. But a couple days ago, I found out that my brother has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, for us to start this story, we got to start off, how did it start and how did we get here? All right. Me and my brother lived with each other. He's 50 years old, black male. From what we know, there's no history of, cancer in our family, essentially. The only other person that had cancer from what we know in our generations was our shared grandma. She had ovarian cancer at like 78, close to 80 years old, right? But that's down the line with age. My brother's 50 with pancreatic stage 4 cancer that spread to his stomach, and it spread to his liver. His liver is still in good condition, but the stomach is not as much because the pancreas is more connected to the stomach more than ever. So anyone that's watching, stage 4 pancreatic cancer is pretty much, the survival rate is pretty much non-existent. There's not much people who beat pancreatic cancer, or I couldn't find any information that they live 5 years. Pancreatic cancer seems like it's something that's very short and fast, and then they're not here. Now, I may not be showing it on this camera how emotional I am, but I've come to terms with a lot of things and a lot of conversations, a lot of tears. But what were some of the signs that I saw in my brother before the fact? I would say about a year ago, my brother, he was a bigger guy, if you know what I mean, right? With some more heavier weight on him. But he wasn't heavy. Like, he's about 5'6", about like 180 pounds, right? 190, right? So more on the heavier side. But I noticed about a year ago, he started losing weight. But it was the slightest weight because he was already watching his weight, and he was told from his doctor to eat better foods and less Chinese food and stuff like that, eating out. But my brother, he is not a drinker, he's not a smoker, but he does eat like Chinese food and fast food and stuff, but not that much. Other than that, he drinks tea and stuff like that. Really relaxed guy. But essentially, in the last 6 months, I noticed that he had a drop in weight. It was a drastic drop where he was like, yeah, I need to, my pants a little bit more baggy than he used to. Like, his shirts don't fit as, because he wears the same uniform every day. And the uniform was a little bit small, a little bit bigger on him, right? But even then, I was like, okay, he said he was going to watch his weight. He's going to stop eating certain things, eat certain breads. And his cholesterol was high. I remember he talked about he had high cholesterol. And they were like, hey, listen, you got to reduce the amount of things he eat, even cheese. So he said, all right, cool. So the last 3 months is when it was the biggest drastic difference that I noticed, right? And I went up to him. Right now, we are in August. I went up to him somewhere in May. And I'm like, yo, bro, you're losing weight. Like, you're okay? He was like, yeah, I've been really watching what I've been eating. So he's thinking that he's losing weight because he cut out certain foods. So when I had conversations with him, he would tell me what he was eating. And I'm thinking to myself, I go to the gym. I work out. I'm 37 years old, single male. I do drink alcohol, but not maybe once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. I don't smoke. I work out more consistently now in the last year and a half. But before then, I worked out maybe at least once a week, once or twice a week. I'll go to the gym. So I'm pretty consistent, right? And I'm just looking at his macros and micros when it comes to eating food. And I'm just saying to myself, nah, bro, this don't make sense. Because I saw what he was eating. He was still eating some junk food. He's eating like Chinese food, spare rib tips with rice, fried rice. He still cooks some stewed chicken and rice and stuff. And I'm seeing what he's eating. I'm like, no, you're losing a lot of weight. But in my mind, I'm not around him when he goes to work. When he comes home, he drinks some tea, eats some bread. He's way more relaxed. Maybe if he come home, he might buy like some food outside food. But other than that, from what I saw and what I've been around him at home, no, he didn't really eat in excess. Now, he hit about 25 years in the company he works for. He works in a hospital, part of radiology, right? And about a little over a month ago, he has 25 years there. And he sat there and he said, hey, listen, I want to, he got 2 extra weeks of vacation. And I said, you should go see our mother. Our mother's retired. She lives in Barbados, right? So he said, all right, cool. And he went to Barbados. And who would have known that when I dropped him to the airport, and even when I took him there and we were bringing the bags down, I could see he's struggling a little bit more with the bags. And I'm looking at him like, my brother is getting smaller. But I'm still don't understand it, but whatever. We get there. I say, brother, I love you. See you when you get back. He was going to leave for 2-3 weeks. 2 weeks into his 3 weeks he's leaving. 2 weeks his vacation, my mother ends up calling me saying, hey, your brother is in passing, if you know what I mean, using the bathroom and, you know, defecating. Like, it's no proper amount of, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. So it's not proper. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. Like, you know, he got constipated. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why is my brother constipated? It doesn't make any sense. So let me just move this a little bit more. I feel like the camera angle's messing it up a little bit. So what happened next was, I said, of course, he was already taking laxatives or whatever. And then I wasn't talking to him every day, right? Then from what was told to me, like 2-3 days later, the laxative wasn't working. He still hasn't used the bathroom. Now we're about close to a week of him not using the bathroom, right? Close to a week, but I only know that it was about 4 or 5 days based on when they talked to me. It was like 3-4 days by the time Todd talked to me. So now we're close to a week. So they end up going to the hospital back in Barbados, right? They gave him, usually when they do colonoscopy, they give him like the medical cleanse to like clear out your system so they could do it. He ended up taking that, the hospital version, and it kind of like helped a tiny bit. He said he went to the bathroom, because a little bit came out, but then it was still like, no, mind you, he's not eating either. My mom was saying that he had this, when he was there, he had back pain. He was really low on energy, and he wasn't eating that much. So my mom sees it because she's with him every day, and she's seeing it. I'm not with him every day. He works 5 days a week. I have my schedule. We barely see each other as often. I'm just seeing that he's losing weight, but my mom's seeing him that he's in pain. He's losing weight. But he's in pain. He's losing weight. And he's not eating. So I'm saying to myself, this sounds crazy. My mom telling me. So I'm like, listen, y'all gotta figure this out. I said, it sounds like y'all need to come back. I just said, like, sound like y'all need to come back. And my brother was like, no, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna just wait another week. And my mom was like, no, something is wrong. And by that time, they ended up calling me now, which is about a week later from when they first called me. And they told me what was going on, and they said they were gonna come back a Wednesday. When they had called me like a Thursday last week, and then a week later, Monday, they said, yo, we're gonna end up having to, come back. I said, no, book your flight, come back ASAP. You hear me? ASAP. Come back, book a flight for the next day, because this sounds bad. You're constipated. I'm asking if he's in pain. He says, no, I don't really feel no pain. Come to find out in the future, he's in a lot of pain. He hasn't eaten for about a week, barely. If he drinks tea, whatever. He's low on energy. And I'm just thinking, this constipation, I know when you're constipated, like, it's painful. He's like, there's no pain, there's something wrong. They end up taking a flight, end up coming back. Landing, we're back in America now. I took him to the hospital the next day. Or they had an appointment that next day. I was trying to take him to the hospital that night, but they had a late flight. So they went to the appointment the next morning, and the doctor stated that he has hyperactive thyroid. His cholesterol was extremely high. He's pre-diabetic, and they said, you need to go to the ER. For whatever reason, that's what the doctor told him. Cool. End up going to the ER, right? Now, my mom has more of the direct story about what's been going on, because obviously I still had a day job and I can't go to him with the hospital visits. But my mom is retired and she's spending time with, her firstborn son. So she ends up going there. He ends up going to the hospital. Then my brother calls me and tells me that he has to be checked in. That same day, at the check-in, they said they have to keep him in bed and they have to start running tests. So what was told to me from my brother was they then, of course, did all this blood work, right? They started doing MCATs or certain type CAT scan, MRIs, just trying to see whatever. And they found out that he had a lot of buildup of water in his abdomen. Not his stomach, it's in his abdomen. Like your abdomen yourself, the space that's around your organs, there was fluid buildup there. Not water, but fluid buildup. So I'm thinking to myself, fluid buildup, why would you have fluid buildup in your belly? Of course, I go on ChatGPT, start asking it certain things, and it's giving me the idea of cancer. I said, no way, not my brother. Something else is wrong. So they were first thing, once they removed the fluid, then they had to like stick it in and pour. They took out like, I think 3 liters or whatever, like a lot of fluid was in my brother's belly. Took that out. And then what they did next was, then they had to, because of that, it released a lot of pressure on my brother's organs. And then they gave him some laxatives, and they were already giving him like some baby food just to get his stomach to start going again. And then his bowel system started working again. And then he finally pooped like maybe he checked in on Wednesday. My brother finally like used the bathroom like after all of this stuff that was going on, like Saturday, right? So I'm hearing this is good news. I'm like, okay, my brother's not constipated anymore. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, my brother shouldn't be there too much longer. He should be able to come out. You know, he'll be home soon. We'll just look after him for the next week, make sure whatever, and then just see why did this happen. And that's what the doctors kept on saying is, yeah, we can look into what happened, what's going on. So they had to do, I think, an MRI or CAT scan with contrast. That's usually when you could be able to see certain things in there. And when they did that, they were stating that the fluid that they pumped out the belly, they needed to send that to, obviously, somewhere to go out and check and see if it's cancerous, right? Mind you, when I saw my brother when he came back, he was smaller than when he left, right? And then I saw him that Saturday, and then I saw him another day during the next week, right? The next following week. I saw him, and my brother's in the hospital. He's little, he's tiny, he's lost so much weight. And they were saying that, yeah, you lost like 20, 30 pounds. But the thing is, not only from the liquid that was in his belly, but also from his body. Like, he's just drastically losing weight. He's losing fat, he's losing muscle, and my brother looks elderly. My brother's 50 years old. He never looked elderly, right? Yes, he had receding hairline, but it's going, right? So I saw him, that was breaking me down, because I'm like, what's wrong with my brother, right? So they said they're gonna have to stick a camera down his stomach, and there's a couple other things that they had to do. They checked the fluid, they were checking how some of his organs were running, checking his blood work. They went through everything, whatever. And then they stated that they were going to do a biopsy. That was the next thing, because they wanted to make sure. So they did a biopsy of his liver, right? Like that Friday now. So we coming from, he was in the hospital on a Wednesday. He finally used the bathroom on a Saturday. Then they doing all the MRIs and stuff during the days and weeks. And then they did a biopsy the next following Friday, right? They said, we want to check your liver to see if there's, if there's any cancer or whatever. And I'm just thinking, he should be fine. Why are they checking for that? Like, this doesn't make sense. My brother doesn't have cancer. Doesn't make any sense. So they end up releasing him the next day, right? They did the biopsy, and the next day they were like, all right, you could go home. Mind you, I'm working. I still have my daily life. I can't take off for this. I have a job where I just can't take off like that. I just can't, right? But luckily my mom is here. She's retired. She's with her first son. So my mom tells me in the morning when I'm headed to work, hey, your brother's coming home today. I said, why is he coming home? Like, he just had a biopsy yesterday. How are you getting released the next day? They said, I guess they checked the vitals and they let him go. So in my mind, I told my mom, this is ridiculous. Like, I would not let him leave, but I had to get to work. And this is what she told me at 5 o'clock in the morning. So cool, moving forward, I go to work. I'm thinking of my brother all day, and I'm just like, I don't like that he's coming home. This doesn't make any sense. I saw him in the hospital. He's not in a good place to come home, because we don't know what's wrong with him, right? So I worked my whole day. I was thinking, and I'm driving home, and then my mother calls me frantic. Oh my God, I don't, like, she can't talk properly because obviously something bad is happening. She said he fell and he can't get up, and like, oh my God, I can't take this. Oh my God, no. And I'm just like, Ma, what's wrong? Like, talk to me. She said the ambulance is here. I said, is he okay? Like, is he alive? She's like, he's just, the ambulance is here. Just hurry up and get home. Lucky I'm on my way, headed home, whatever. Get home, ambulance in front of the house, go upstairs. My brother's laying on the floor in our living room, or our dining room, just laying on the floor, and the ambulance is around him, whatever, they got the stuff out, whatever. But he's coherent, he's talking. So they're having a conversation back and forth, they're checking his vitals, and what's happening is he can't stand up. If he stands up, his blood pressure will drop so low that obviously it'll knock him out. So my brother, obviously that's not a good thing. So they said, listen, we're going to have to take him back to the hospital because this is no good. So they had to put him in a chair and take him out. Now, while doing so, the paramedic or the EMT was talking about, like, usually they make exceptions for people with cancer. And I'm just like, once again, I don't understand what they mean. Even though I hear them, I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like, in my head, I'm thinking you're gonna lie to whoever, because we wanted to take him back to the same hospital that he just came from, which was kind of off the way, but they were making it sound like they were just gonna do that and make like a little lie to take him there because they were supposed to take him to this other hospital. And I was like, no, do that. They was like, yeah, sure. They did it and they approved it. And then through that conversation, my brother just let it slip. He was like, yeah, like, if I have this cancer, I said something like, if you have this cancer, or because I have this cancer, I can't do this. Something like that he says while like sitting down. And I'm like, what are you saying, bro? Like, what are you talking about? And then the paramedic looks at me, and then I can see that in his face that he's just like he knows what's going on. And they had a conversation before I got there. And then my mom looks at me, and she's just like, yeah, your brother may have cancer. And I'm just like, I don't know what you guys talking about. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. We were going to get him to the hospital. My brother's just like, yo, listen, are you okay? Like, you'll be, like, he's just trying to be a big bro and look out for me. And I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're just going to get you to the hospital, and that's what we're going to go do. We end up taking to the hospital. In my mind, it was a lot for me in that moment, because now I'm like, wait, my brother has cancer. What cancer? Like, just a bunch of questions. I couldn't function. I had to go to the gym and just work out because I needed structure. Go to the gym, I'm crying because I don't know what's going on. And then coming out the gym, checked on my brother a little later. I stood up with them as much as I can because I had work the next day at like 5 a.m. And I had to go back home, and I'm just like, nah, my brother has cancer. This doesn't make any sense. When he was at the ER, the doctor was like, people in your condition with this type of cancer, and then your liver biopsy. Once again, liver biopsy came back, and I'm hearing it, and I'm like, wait, hold on, my brother has liver cancer? They found cancer cells in his liver too, in some of the biopsy. And I'm just like, no way. I still can't believe it. And it's me and my mom. We're in the ER. There's a lot of sick people around. I'm just like, nah, my brother it was just a month ago. My brother was just fine, walking, talking, everything good. And now he's in a hospital gown, and he's 50 pounds smaller than he was. And they're doing the MRIs, checking his belly. Some of the fluids now building back up since it was drained the first time. And then they're like, yeah, what they said was, yeah, we're gonna end up releasing him. The reason why he passed out was because he was in a hospital for almost 2 weeks. He was eating foods that weren't salty. He barely was eating because, remember, his digestive system wasn't working properly. He was only drinking water, no electrolytes, no vitamins, no walk. Like, he was bedridden, right? So it was like, yeah, that's why he passed out. Which, once he started eating, again, like, he ate like a beef patty, and he drunk Coca-Cola. It was like his first real meal in like 2 weeks. He drunk Coca-Cola, and he had a beef patty. And when he did that, right, he had more energy and he was a lot more normal. Cool. Thank God, right? Thank God. So the next thing from then on, they said they're gonna send him home, but they sent him home like, I got a phone call like 4 o'clock in the morning because I had to work in the morning. And my mother was just like, can you send an Uber for us? Whatever. And I sent the Uber like 3 o'clock in the morning. And my mother's in shock because like she don't want him to fall. So I have to like stay up till I get home. And once again, I did what I can mentally do. Cool. Agreed? Cool. So this was now a Sunday. This is almost like 2 weeks after this had started, whatever. This whole thing from the phone calls, 2.5 weeks. Cool. What happened next now is that we had an appointment, which was this week, which was on a Tuesday. I was actually off from work that day. And all I'm thinking to myself is, does my brother really have cancer? Like, and in my head, I'm like, I just want to know what it is. So it comes to Tuesday. I take my family, me and my brother, we go there. Mind you, my brother's very weak, whatever. But, once again, he's not really eating, but we're trying to tell him to eat, whatever. And we go to the doctor. He had an appointment. And the thing about it is, when people are a master, they do their jobs. You can tell by how the person's posture is when they want to talk, when something is wrong. So we're just sitting there, and it's like they're asking the questions, and direct questions, very direct questions, like, how do you feel? Would you, like, simple questions asked my brother, and it was like, do you feel like you're depressed? Do you feel like you might take your life? Like, do you feel like you let your family down? And my brother just starts crying and breaking down, and I'm just like, bro, I'm here. Like, what do you mean? Like, we still talk, like, yo, bro, we're here. I'm here, mom's here, whatever, we're holding. The doctor comes in, white man, and I guess another white woman, whatever, I don't know what race they were, but they were just white, okay? They came in, and they started talking to us, and they talked medical jargon, because, that's just the way they talk. And they were just saying people in him and his position and where he's at right now, there's a treatment plan, and we want to make this as the easiest, as more comfortable, and we're going to be getting chemo soon. So I'm like, so my brother has cancer? They said yes. They said a medical term of what pancreatic cancer is and how they want to reduce the size of it. So I said he has a tumor. They said, well, they haven't fully imaged it yet or whatever, but there's like, yeah, we found cancer cells in his liver. And I'm like, so is it, I'm asking more direct questions because they still talking medical jargon to my mom. And it was a lot of people there. My brother, this is the same hospital my brother works at. So like, he knows everyone there, which is crazy. Right. And they asked him, and I just asked a simple question. I said, listen, so where are we at with this? Is this a situation where my brother just takes chemo and then he gets better? And they were just like, yeah, we can take chemo to prolong life. And I'm like, well, I don't want to, and I didn't want to ask certain questions. So I'm like, okay, well, did it spread any other places? He was like, well, like I said, it's in the liver, and it's actually on the stomach lining too, because of where the placement is. It'll affect the stomach and the liver. So I said, is his liver good and running now? I was like, yes, his liver is fine for now, and that's why we want to be getting chemo, so that we could try to reduce the size of the tumor in the pancreas, but also we can see if we can reduce any other issue of cancer cells in the liver and the stomach lining. And at least if we do that, it starts the process. And I asked him, so how long is this? He said, well, this isn't like a quick dash. This is more of a marathon, where this is going to be something that we're going to keep doing. We're going to keep giving him chemo so that he can get better. And I already did my reading before the fact, and I'm just like, so where are we really with this? Like, what stage is this? He said, this is stage 4. And my mom, of course, I can't worry about myself. I'll make sure my mom's good. I'm like, Mom, it's okay. She just like, she wants to pass. Like, she was sitting down, and I just like helping her. We were around, like, there they're used to doing this system that they just try to be there, console the family. And one of his boss was actually in there, right? No, my brother's boss. He's known her for 20 years, right? And she starts crying, and it's an emotional moment, right? So we're there for each other. So the doctor ends up stepping out. I mean, my mom ends up stepping out because she want to ask her questions, and it's just me and my brother in the room. And I asked the doctor, I said, can he survive this? And he was just like, we're gonna do our best to make sure he lives the best life that he can live. That's it, because he can't tell you your death sentence. You can't. I said, okay. Me and my brother was left in the room. We talked a little bit. I said, Ernie, we're gonna go through this. It's my brother's name is Ernie. I said, we're gonna go through this together. I'm not leaving your side. We'll get through this. Driving home, it was still pretty okay. Got home, and everyone's just natural. And then that was from Tuesday. Today's Saturday. Now every day when I wake up, no matter my mood, this dark cloud is above my head and above my mom's head and above my brother's head. And now I look at my brother and I'm thinking, you're most likely not going to be here for much longer. I get the ChatGPT, I Google, I look into all the things I can find out to prolong life. And overnight, I'm started making shakes, protein, watching calories, low blood sugar. I'm looking into any and everything. And this is all about just prolonging life as long as he can, to keep him alive as long as he can, going through his chemo. And making sure he gets the proper diet so he can have enough energy to still wake up every day and move around the best way he can, or if he has to. But ultimately, as this is my day one, I woke up today and I think about this to myself, right? That my brother, I'm gonna say this again. I imagine it's me, my mom, and my brother on a boat in the middle of the ocean, right? It's quiet, calm water, calm seas. It's beautiful. It's simple. It's easy. It's a good place to be, right? And you know how you have the sun veering on your skin and it feels warm and it's not too breezy. It's just quiet. Like you don't even hear seagulls. Like it's just a serene place to be, right? But there's a part of me, not a part, let me be honest with you. I know no matter whatever happens next, that there is a storm that's coming. I don't know where it's coming from. I can't divert it. Even my mother and my brother trust me that I'm the captain of the ship, that I can't divert myself from the storm because I have to go through it. And I have to go through it at the helm with my brother and my mom. And I have to make sure that they're good. And that no matter whatever I go through, even if it's the middle of the night and it's rain is pouring, it's thundering, that I have to stand at that helm and get soaked and get wet and cold, hot, windy, whatever. And I cannot give up steering this ship. And at the end, when I finally come through this storm, what hurts me is my brother may not be here. And I'm trying my best not to hold back. I'm holding back tears here because I never thought, and I've heard other people say this in videos my whole life. And now, when I lost my grandmother from ovarian cancer, it was hard for me because I lost her about 8-9 years ago, but she didn't live with us. But that was my grandma, you know? And she died in me and my mother's arms. Me and my mother and my aunt's arms passed away. Like it took hours for her to pass away. Right? And then she transcended. Now that I'm here, I don't want my brother to go through the same fate with the morphine they give him, tubes in them. The transition, as cruel as it looks, it's beautiful in its own way because it lets you know what life really is and what life is about and how God brought you in this earth. You have an expiration date and you will leave, but it's how you leave. They gave her a lot of morphine and she got to pass away around her loved ones. That's a beautiful ending. This is now my chance to see what my brother may go through. And I don't know if this is going to be days, weeks, months. I don't know. But what I do know from what I've read and asked people and everything, my brother might not be here by the end of the year. I'm in August right now, and I'm going to try my best to just speak on it now. And maybe this video might help the 1 or 2 people who watch it. Maybe they can see the signs, or maybe they're going through it. But when you go get checked for cancer, this is not something you just do blood work and they'll just come back and say you're prostate, not prostate, pancreas cancer. Because they don't, I've learned that this is one of the sneakiest cancers to find, because you just can't find it that easy. You have to go there, and usually by the time you know you have pancreas cancer, it's because you have symptoms of pancreas cancer. Because it's sneaky. It doesn't really affect anything until the point that the pancreas, it can't regulate your hormones and do its job properly. And by that time, it's already damn near stage 4. And that's the part that hurts and sucks about it. I woke up this morning and I had so much mental things that I had to do. Things I have to do because today's my final day. I feel like I'm finally catching up, because ever since this thing started for 2-3 weeks, I just been going. My own personal life, this situation with him, and still working and everything. And I'm just doing what I got to do. I'm just moving. And today was the day I'm like, I got stuff I got to do. And I'm lit up and I'm like happy, because there's some things I want to do. I really always wanted to catch up and do. Because I run another YouTube channel, like a card channel. And immediately this dark cloud of just heaviness just sat right on my shoulders. And it was just like, yeah, you were happy and now you're not. I know cancer's not supposed to be a death sentence, depending on what other people may go through, and people may come out on the other side. But today, after I woke up, I did my daily duties, I came home and I sat down with my brother and I looked at him. He was in my room. And we had that brotherly conversation. And there was questions in there that you'll never think you would have to ask your loved one. You would think you would never have to ask it. But I'm the strongest one in the family right now, mentally, to be able to tell it, because my mom can't do it. We're a small family. I have to do it. I'm the little brother looking out for the big brother. And all I thought to myself is, I can't even say it on video because I'm not. All I said was, you're not even going to see my son or my daughter when I have them. You're not going to be able to experience some of the things moving forward. And my brother just, I didn't mean it in a way to put him down. No, like this is stuff he would say to me because he's very honest and straight up too. And he's like, I want to be there, but I didn't know I was going to be here. And this is not what I wanted. And seeing someone go through that hurt and helplessness, but still has a fighting chance. He wants to try the chemo, see how it makes him feel, get a couple of rounds of that, and see how it is. But when you have to ask your family and loved ones, hey, no matter what, let's say you end up going to a coma, what would you want me to do for you? You know, if you end up if you start doing the chemo and you don't want to do it anymore, how would you like to pass? You know, here, back at home. Do you want to be in hospice at home? Like, these questions you start asking. I never thought I'll be sitting here speaking about my older brother in this way. And I'm already pretty decently good with my health, but this has made me go to another extraordinary level of watching the hell out, man. I am absolutely scared, but I don't have the time to be scared. I don't know how this is going to affect my mom or me, but I know how it affected my mom and me with grandma. But this, if my brother was in his 70s, this would hurt, but it wouldn't be the same, because I still feel like you lived your life. But when people that are younger pass away and they still had enough life, that's the part that hurts the most. My brother worked 25 years for that company. They don't owe him anything. But he was gonna just work for another 16 years and retire and go back home. We had this conversation before he left. And now those plans are gone. So now it's like, what life did you get to freaking live? What life? I know people who passed away from being sick in their 20s and even teens. And I still say the same to myself, man, you had an opportunity, but you know what? It sucks. And that hurts. I lost friends. I lost family. I lost friends. But every year as you get older, you'll see that this death thing is more common to everybody. And it continues to grow and get worse and worse and worse, because this is just what life is about. The devil is in Cancer, man. The devil is in Cancer. And now that I'm here, and I'm sharing my time and space, and I'm looking at spending time with my brother now, a lot more, because he's home. Now I have to make sure he eats certain things, have certain shakes. Now maybe I'll talk about that in a second video. But I wanted to end it off here, right? Now I understand why cancer is so important and why they do. Well, I know they did walks for a reason, but like I see it because when you look at it, there's people who are fighting this fight without their loved ones, without people to support. At least me and my mom have each other. There's people who don't have anyone else other than them and that person. And there's people fighting cancer and it's just them. I can only imagine how helpless you may feel, or you might want to kill yourself, or you might want to just off yourself, unalive yourself. I can see that. My brother's still trying to be strong as hell, but he's emotionally really broken. And the only thing he's worrying about is me and my mom. Because he doesn't have a choice of leaving. He doesn't have a choice with religious people. But all he's worried about is me and mom. That's it about us. And I told him today, I'm going to take care of mom. That's my mother too. What's wrong with you, you know? And I said, dude, I'm going to be good. I'm going to keep taking care of myself. I'm going to make sure. I promise you that. And we just had to have a brother-to-brother conversation with tears and emotion. Just get it out. There's desperation there, man. And I can literally see why, yes, it affects everyone if you're going through it. I don't know if it's going to destroy families, but it humbles you. And I still remember this story with this kid, because I'm a car guy, right? And he had a Nissan GTR, and he wrote F-U-C-K, cancer, on it. And he got very popular because he was fighting cancer. And he was raising money for it and awareness. And it was powerful. And that kid ended up dying. And all I said to myself was, this wasn't the type of story I wanted to hear. I thought he would come out courageous. And now I remember that made me cry some years ago. Like almost 10 years ago. It really brought me down. You know? But I still sat there and said, I'm not going through that. My brother's okay. My grandma passed away. But, you know, this is like an old people thing. Like, you're older. No, people die of cancer in their teens, their kids, their 20s, their 30s. It doesn't discriminate on race, age, or nothing. And now I'm possibly, and I hate to give power to words, I'm going to have to bury my brother. I knew my brother would rather me bury him, but bury him a lot later in life. You know? He would want me to do it then, a lot later in life, not now. Not at this part of my life. Not at this part. And that's the part that hurts the most. It really does. I just wish it was different, man. I had a neighbor. Yeah, I said I'm gonna finish off. I had a neighbor that I've known years ago. I don't really talk to them that much. And I remember seeing their dad lose weight over like in a 3-month span. He started getting sick and he started losing weight. And I'm like looking at him like, why he look like that? And then I remember my mother years ago telling me, yeah, he has cancer, right? That's why he's, you know, going through that. Well, because, you know, people talk. I'm like, okay. And now seeing the same outcome and symptoms from that man to my father, I'm like, wow. Damn. And I remember seeing his family members, like God's family members, they had a certain look to him. It's like It's an acceptance. It's like once again, it's a cloud, man. And I feel it, and it's thick. And I feel the pressure, the air is thick. And I feel like it's coming down heavier, heavier, and heavier. And I'm not too happy about it. I'm not too happy about it. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know where it's going to turn out. I don't understand how it's going to turn out. All right. I don't know how it's going to turn out. But I've always been a science guy, a statistical guy. I've always been that guy. I'm going to bury my brother. I've already lost a brother, my oldest brother, to diabetes, very poor health decisions that affected him about 7 years ago. He didn't die of cancer, but he died of his organs failing on him because he really abused his body with alcohol and diabetes. And he tried to save it close to the years to the end, but he lost a lot of functions. And now I'm losing another brother. Well, anyways, let me end it off with saying, yeah, this is my day one, and this is where I'm at, and this is what I gotta go through. And any family or family member or anybody who's watching that you're going through this, or you might be going through it, all I will sit there and say is, yeah, it ain't easy. And I'll try my best to document this journey for me. I'm not gonna record my brother or anything like that, but I don't think there's safe spaces to talk about this, absolutely. Because now I'm finding that there is. But Lord Jesus, I really wish it was a hero story here. And I know anyone watching will be like, oh my God, like you're giving up already. Look into pancreatic cancer survival rate. And they rate this stuff based on months, years, months, weeks, days, weeks, months, and years. 5 years. Years possible. But other than this is it. Yeah. So outside of that, I really appreciate for anyone who's watching. I'm going to pray for you and your family. I'm going to pray for anyone going through this right now. I'm going to continue to pray for y'all. I think this makes a lot more people more religious and more into God and more into belief that there's a higher power, because us as humans, we really think we're powerful, like we really could take on the world until, well, guess what? The world really humbles us and let us know that we're really not in control. That we can control and manipulate anything outside of our bodies. But whatever's inside of our bodies, we really don't have no control over. So you have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. See you guys in the next video. Sorry I haven't made an update video in years on this channel. But maybe I'll talk about other things that were going on in my life over the years and how it affected me. And just keep my family in your prayers for anyone's watching. I don't even care if it's one person. Thank you, and hopefully this video helps out anybody. Just type questions below. Maybe I can answer a couple of things too, that from what I know, as I learn more and understand more, I'll let you guys know what I'm doing. I have a whole meal prep that I've been doing now for my brother, and helping him with that and making sure that he gets his nutrition. That's my job right now on top of everything else. All right? I appreciate it. And guys, have a good day. Later.